Letter 462 by Charles Lamb. P.M. October 11, 1828. A splendid edition of Bunyan's Pilgrim, why the thought is enough to turn one's moral stomach. His cockle hat and staff transformed to a smart cocked beaver and a Jimmy cane, his amice grey to the last Regent Street cut, and his painful palmers paste to the modern swagger. Stop thy friend's sacrilegious hand. Nothing can be done for B but to reprint the old cuts in as homely but good a style as possible. The Vanity Fair and the Pilgrims there, the silly soothness in his setting out countenance, the Christian idiocy, in a good sense, of his admiration of the shepherds on the delectable mountains, the lions so truly allegorical and remote from any similitude to pidcocks. The great head, the authors, capacious of dreams and similitudes dreaming in the dungeon. Perhaps you don't know my edition, what I had when a child. If you do, can you bear new designs from Martin, enameled into copper or silver plate by Heath, accompanied with verses from Mrs. Hemans' pen, oh, how unlike his own. Wouldst thou divert thyself from melancholy? Wouldst thou be pleasant, yet be far from folly? Wouldst thou read riddles and their explanation? Or else be drowned in thy contemplation? Dost thou love picking meat? Or wouldst thou see a man ith clouds, and hear him speak to thee? Wouldst thou be in a dream and yet not sleep? Or wouldst thou in a moment laugh and weep? Or wouldst thou lose thyself, and catch no harm, and find thyself again without a charm? Wouldst read thyself, and read thou knowst not what, and yet know whether thou art blessed or not by reading the same lines? O then come hither, and lay my book, thy head and heart together. Show me such poetry in any of the 15 forthcoming combinations of show and emptiness, yclept annuals. Let me whisper in your ear that wholesome sacramental bread is not more nutritious than papistical wafer stuff, than these, to head and heart, exceed the visual frippery of Mitford's salamander god, baking himself up to the work of creation in a solar oven, not yet by the terms of the context itself existing. Blake's ravings made genteel, so there's verses for thy verses, and now let me tell you that the sight of your hand gladdened me. I have been daily trying to write to you, but paralyzed. You have spurred me on this tiny effort, and at intervals I hope to hear from and talk to you. But my spirits have been in a depressed way for a long, long time, and they are things which must be to you of faith, for who can explain depression? Yes, I am hooked into the gem, but only for some lines written on a dead infant of the editor's, which being as it were his property, I could not refuse their appearing. But I hate the paper, the type, the gloss, the dandy plates, the names of contributors poked up into your eyes in first page, and whistled through, all covers of magazines, the barefaced sort of emulation, the unmodest candidateship brought into so little space. In those old Londons, a signature was lost in the wood of matter, the paper course, till latterly which spoiled them. In short, I detest to appear in an annual. What a fertile genius, and a quiet good soul withal, is Hood. He has 50 things in hand, farces to supply the Adelphi for the season, a comedy for one of the great theatres, just ready, a whole entertainment by himself for Matthews and Yates to figure in, a meditated comic annual for next year, to be nearly done by himself. You'd like him very much. Wordsworth, I see, has a good many pieces announced in one of them, not our gem. W. Scott has distributed himself like a bribe haunch among them. Of all the poets, Carey has had the good sense to keep quite clear of 'em, with clergy gentlemanly right notions. Don't think I set up for being proud in this point. I like a bit of flattery tickling my vanity as well as anyone. But these pompous masquerades without masks, naked names or faces I hate, so there's a bit of my mind. Besides, they infallibly cheat you, I mean the booksellers. If I get but a copy, I only expect it from Hood's being my friend. Coleridge has lately been here. He too is deep among the prophets, the year-servers, the mob of gentlemen annuals, but they'll cheat him, I know. And now, dear BB, the sun shining out merrily, and the dirty clouds we had yesterday having washed their own faces clean with their own rain, tempts me to wander up Winchmore Hill or into some of the delightful vicinages of Enfield, which I hope to show you at some time when you can get a few days up to the great town. Believe me, it would give both of us great pleasure to show you all three. We can lodge you, our pleasant farms and villages. We both join in kindest loves to you and yours. Saturday. The edition of Bunyan was that published for Barton's friend, John Major, and John Murray in 1830, with a Life of Bunyan by Southey, and illustrations by John Martin and W. Harvey, and a prefatory poem not by Mrs. Hemans, but by Bernard Barton immediately before Bunyan's author's apology for his book, from which Lamb quotes. Pidcock showed his lions at Bartholomew Fair. He was succeeded by Polito of Exeter Change. Heath, this was Charles Heath, 1785–1848, son of James Heath, a great engraver of steel plates for the annuals. Mitford's Salamander God. I cannot explain this, except by Mr. MacDonald's supposition that Lamb meant to write Martin's. The Gem, see note below, p. 839. Hood's Entertainment for Matthews and Frederick Yates, then joint managers of the Adelphi, I have not identified. Authors' names on playbills were, in those days, unimportant. The play was the thing. Carey, the Rev. H. F. Carey, translator of Dante. Coleridge and the Annuals. For example, Coleridge's names was in the Keepsake for 1829, his lines written in the album at Elbinger Road, in part in the Amulet for 1829. He had also contributed previously to the Literary Souvenir, the Amulet, and the Bijou. Here should come an unprinted note from Lamb to Charles Matthews, dated October 27, 1828, referring to the farce, The Pawnbroker's Daughter, which Lamb offered to Matthews for the Adelphi. As I have said, this farce was never acted.